Right.
One we've got is more like texting. This one's all graphics. Really,
Oh, gosh.
a whole lot to it.
Pretty detailed, yeah.
Yeah. And they got a lot of icons and things. Let me take a shot too. Probably. I think Miss Sam was on the line.
Teresa's on.
All right. Almost ready.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 20th, 2023 Prince Edward County Planning Commission. My name is Jack Peary. Chairman Pringleman cannot be here tonight. I will try to conduct the meeting as well as he always does. So first, let me read this before I call the meeting to order. The Prince Edward County Planning Commission strongly encourages citizens to participate in public meetings through in-person participation, written comments, and/or remote participation by calling 1-844-890-7777, access code 390313. Additionally, citizens may view the Planning Commission meeting live in its entirety at the county's YouTube channel, the link to which is provided on the county's website. With that being said, I would like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Love, do we have a quorum?
Yes, you might want to do a roll call because I believe you have one member on the phone.
Okay, okay,
So you got two members not present, Mr. Weiss and Mr. Pringleman.
Mr. Pringle, right.
Everybody else is here. So you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. So everyone, please stand and let's recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a few things to go over before we get to the public hearing. I hope everybody has had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting, and are there any corrections that we need to make to those? I don't know of any. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Gillum?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Leatherwood?
Yeah.
Mr. Page?
Yes.
Mr. Womack?
Yes.
Mrs. Sandlin? Yes. And yes for me too, Jack Peary. Okay, that has been passed, approved. Now I would like to open the public hearing for the Norvell signs that are going out at the county school. I would just like to say, Mr. Love, the way we do it, Mr. Love will give us a brief overview, and if someone's here from Norvell Signs, we'll listen to what they have to say or add anything to it, and then if anybody has anything to say for or against the signs, we'll certainly give you an opportunity to speak. So with that being said, Mr. Love, please give us an overview.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, the county received an application for a special use permit from Norvell Signs on behalf of Prince Edward County Public Schools to replace the three existing signs. One is at the elementary school, one is at the middle school, and one is at the high school, with electronic signs on tax parcel 051-A-2 and 051-A-37, which is on Zion Hill Road here in town, or right outside of town. These parcels are zoned A2 agricultural residential, and electronic signs require approval of a special use permit. So that's why we're here tonight. This has been properly advertised, sent letters to adjoining property owners, also to the town of Farmville, since this is within a half mile of the town corporate limit with the county. And I had no comments for the record at this time from anybody. Like I said, again, this is to allow the installation of these signs. You have schematics from the sign company. The signs, the main face of the sign is 7 foot wide, and the total height of these signs would be 7 foot tall from ground level. That height and the sign face is 28 square feet. So that provision meets both the highway corridor overlay district, the elementary school's right at that bubble and right in that district, because the highway corridor is 1,000 feet from the right-of-way of 15. So they designed all three signs to meet that code, which also meets the A2 code. So staff is of the opinion that these signs are compatible with the district, and I'd be glad to answer any questions. I believe the sign company representative may be on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So do y'all have any questions of me about the signs themselves or permitting purpose? Okay.
Okay, sir, from the sign company, would you, maybe, anything you'd like to add to that? And,
Well, no, we would, any, any conditions or anything that would be placed, we would certainly try to meet. Hopefully, it will pass as submitted.
okay, and sir, what was your name?
My name's Dwayne Norvell.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Norvell.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Mr. Gilman?
Been in conversation with remodeling the elementary school. Do you think our remodeling will have any effect about this sign, where it's gonna be pertaining to the remodeling? I'm wondering if that one maybe should be checked out. The other two, as far as I'm concerned, are fine, but I don't want to put up a new sign and then we go tear it down 2
Well-
years from now and have to move it.
I'll let the sign company maybe answer that, but from the standpoint of the sign, they're purchasing three signs from the Norvell Sign Company. I don't know what that master plan will look like. Certainly, these signs are a bolt-in on a pad. They could, I'll let him speak to that, maybe how they could be moved, or maybe just maybe assure you that they could be moved. But these would bolt on a concrete pad with anchor bolts, so they could be moved if, for some reason, they would need to relocate that. But I've sent this, VDOT I haven't had any issues with VDOT. And it's so far out at the road, I don't know that unless they totally change that entire campus, I can't imagine that wouldn't.
The only thing that I was concerned about, new parking area, maybe, or turning lanes or things like that, but we should be far enough away from that, I guess.
Well, like I said, you can ask the sign, Dwayne with Norvell with Sign Company, could these be moved?
Mosley is supposed to be coming up with a set of plans for
Okay.
us here pretty quick.
Did you hear that, Mr. Norvell? Oh,
Yes, the signs are, as Mr. Law has said, they are on a bolt type installation system, so they can be relocated fairly easily.
okay.
I got a question. On the illumination, these are, I assume, or from what I read, programmable electronic signs. I have seen in the past, the illumination of some of those signs are extremely bright. Is there anything in our code that addresses that we need to be concerned with?
I'll let him speak to the lumens on that. I actually did put a potential conditions, which typically just said he needs a building permit, that the schools need to get a building permit for this. But I did say any sign lighting shall be designed and installed as to minimize glare onto adjoining properties or any public access road. So that would address, if it was bright enough to shine somewhere, they'd have to adjust those lumens, and I'm sure.
That's the only question.
Can you speak to that, Dwayne, if they have a dimming ability?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're programmable to manually set dimming, and also like when it's very dark, dims it so it's not so bright. And in the daytime, it might bump it up a little bit to make it bright. That's automatic.
Okay, does that answer that question for you?
Yes, thank
Any other questions?
In relation to that, our fire department has one of these signs. We had one complaint about coming to the intersection, trying to look up the road at night, it blinded them. And then the Amish people, the horse got spooked, they had to get off and calm the horse down here the other day. I don't think we'll ever have that here, but you never know. But the horse just went berserk, and they had to.
Something about the flashing lights.
Yeah.
It does it for the
Frightening.
horses and everything. VDOT gets a lot of complaints when they're pushing snow at night, especially over in Charlotte County, that the Amish are complaining about. The horses are real spooky, and they thought it was the scraping of the road, and it's not that, it's the flashing lights.
The flashing.
It does something to the horse's eyes.
Any other questions or comments? Sir, would you like to speak one way or the other for this? Oh, okay, we're glad you're here. So, okay, if there's no other further questions or comments, I'll close the public hearing part of it. And is there any more discussion between us, commission members, about the signs?
Some nice looking signs they got in here.
Oh, yeah.
They really
Oh,
are.
yeah. Might help with the traffic and some too, you
Right,
know,
yeah.
there's a lot, that's, I think it's a good idea. Do I hear a motion to recommend that we pass this along to the Board of Supervisors?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Page. We'll have a roll call vote on that. Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Gillum,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Leatherwood,
Yes.
Mr. Page.
Yes.
I vote yes. Ms. Sandlin,
Yes.
Mr. Wallen.
Yes.
So moved. So we will pass that along to the Board of Supervisors and see what they have to say about it. Okay, Mr. Love, you have a review of the supervisor's actions?
I do, sir. The special use permit with a siting agreement after that for the solar site on Elam Road for Elam Road Solar, that was approved. So that's moving forward. The Bomer site, which is the old Noah's pet store, that was approved by the board as well with the conditions. So both of those projects will be moving forward. I've been in touch with both of those groups, and W.A. Stratton is going to be getting us a site plan on the new site for the barn buildings, for the pet store, that 100. So they're working on that now, so I anticipate that to be coming in. The zoning ordinance kind of stalled out and was tabled by the board. Specifically, there was some concerns of our kennel language and some scrap and salvage definitions that we hadn't looked at. So we are, as staff, looking at that now and making some minor tweaks and edits on that that may come back to y'all. It may not, they may just have the board have their hearing and move forward with it, but I'll let you know. You've had a hearing, and we're not substantially changing, but we may actually relax a little, some standards. One of the main thing that was an issue was the disposal of pet waste.
Right.
And the couple members of the board felt that we should leave that up to the health department, animal control, those type of things. So I think we're gonna change that.
Okay.
And so that will get easier, quite frankly. It wouldn't have to be bagged and disposed of. It could go into an approved system.
Right.
So we'll make some more standardized, more general language in there to accommodate that. And then a couple of tweaks just, in our buffering, we require a fence for scrap and salvage And it affects like the Bomer site. If you've got trash containers, they have to be behind a solid panel fence. In the code, and quite frankly, I had forgotten this was there, that section of the code says plantings and/or installation of a fence. There's no plantings involved in that, so we're gonna probably strike the plantings because that's been a hangup. We were in had a zoning violation that we had, and that was an issue. It was resolved satisfactorily, but that word plantings, I totally forgot to take that out. So we're gonna take that out, so it's clear that type 1 option, I think it's type 1 option 2. If you have to have a fence, you have to have a fence. So it's a little bit confusing. So we're gonna clarify that. So that actually takes a standard away, so, we should move forward once we get those things and let the board look at it again. And of course, I didn't automatically think they were gonna just pass it in one night. Y'all had it a couple of months, so I thought they might look at it and digest it a little more. It's a lot to put in front of anyone, a few days ahead of a meeting. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
Okay,
I do expect it to move forward at some point.
okay. By the way, Mr. Norwell, thank you very much for being on the phone call tonight. It was very helpful.
But thank you all.
And I'll be,
Have a good evening.
and I'll be in touch, sir, for the Board of Supervisors meeting, which will be in May.
Oh,
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
yes, sir, thank you. Okay, any old business?
Not really. Well, this item that I've got, next item I've got it's kind of old business and it's new business.
Okay,
So if you want me to go over that?
sure.
All right, sorry for getting this to you tonight. The county administrator has been working with a vendor, and we've been had an interview with a consulting company about the comprehensive plan. We've been talking about this quite a while. COVID kind of slowed us down. Quite frankly, if it hadn't been for COVID, we would have been in this process probably when I got here to 2020. But the Code of Virginia requires that the Planning Commission prepare and recommend a comprehensive plan within the county to the Board of Supervisors. And we're at the point that our old plan was last done in 2014, actually. First adopted in 97. This memo says the current plan was amended in 2005, actually redone in 2014. So that one thing is not listed in here. But we're well beyond the time that we should be looking at this. But again, we kind of put it on hold because we couldn't have community meetings and public involvement in this. So part of what we've done is look around at what other counties have done and we got samples from several different vendors and several different localities that we knew had modern comprehensive plans. Some of the things that we have to look at is statements for broadband, statements for solar. Have to look at how that comes into play. So we looked at town of Smithfield, town of Front Royal, town of Cape Charles, Richmond County, and the town of Farmville. And the one that staff liked was myself, Assistant County Administrator Sarah Puckett, and the County Administrator Doug Stanley. We were really impressed with what the Berkeley group had done. They had completed the one for the town of Farmville. You have a letter in this packet here. The town manager highly recommends them. And we've been able to look at, as your memo says, we have received a proposal from Berkeley for this project. As proposed, the project would start in October 23 and be completed no later than June of 2025. Because there is quite a bit of work, surveys, work sessions, public engagement, draft document, et cetera. And then it does have public hearings with you all and the Board of Supervisors. The Berkeley group can be procured by writing a cooperative contract with the city of Lexington, and I've got that in your packet too. So as proposed, this project would have a kickoff work session and a county tour, branding and promotions, surveys, public input, stakeholder listening sessions, existing conditions, baseline analysis, work sessions, the drafting, mapping, comments and review, an open house, public review, final revisions, and then public hearings. So this is a number of meetings with the consulting firm. We've been planning for this since 2021. Currently have 50,000 included in the fiscal year 2022-23 budget. The 2023-24 draft budget has 50,000, and then if we need to, we can put 50,000 in the 24-25 budget, or we can use some of the solar siting agreement funding that we've been getting on solar sites. This project, so that would be a total funding of 150,000. That was kind of what we thought this would cost. Based on the scope of work, the consulting firm actually said they could do it for 148,959.20, and they didn't know what our budget was. They just come back with us, and that's based on these number of meetings, them coming here, in-person meetings, and working us from the beginning to the end of this project. So what we're asking for tonight would be a recommendation to the board to approve this contract with the Berkeley Group to start the comprehensive plan. You don't have to worry about the funding formula. This is just kind of some history, but like I said, we've already got $100,000 committed to this, and then if we need to, we can put more with it. But we believe that we believe by the time we get to the end of this process where we get that final bill, one of these solar sites will have come to fruition and be under construction. And we've gotten on the community solar on the 5 megawatt sites, we've gotten 50,000 from the 5 megawatt site, and we've gotten 30,000 from the one we just approved, the board just approved. So we've got funding. Those funds can go to a comprehensive plan. They can go to a project that's in the capital improvements. So we have funding there for this project. And we do need to get started. So the hope by the county administrator is we'd have a recommendation and we could take this to the board at their May meeting, if you all are comfortable making a recommendation tonight.
Yeah, I got a question. I mean, Rob and maybe Luke can help on this thing too. I know you got the items that's to be included in this comprehensive plan. Does the comprehensive plan get completed under the umbrella of the planning commission? Or what's the relationship between the planning commission and the board of supervisors in implementing this process?
Planning commission would create this document,
Okay.
um,
And then
would
submit
drive-
it to the, and then,
have a public, well, the draft would go to the board, so they would have a look at this through the process.
right,
We may,
but it is our
It's-
project.
it is the planning by the
Okay,
state code of
that's
Virginia.
kind of what I was
It
asking,
is.
yes.
Yeah, one of these work sessions will probably very well be a
Joint session,
joint session.
yeah.
I don't want you to think that you're gonna have to, you won't just go from start to finish, get ready to go to public hearing and hand this off to the board. No, they'll be
Well, I mean,
involved.
it's $150,000, so I mean, it's, whose responsibility? Yeah.
Well, we'll track that.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
staff will track that.
No, but
And
I
this is
meant-
this is a, year and a half.
It's still under our umbrella, that was my
Yeah, it's
question.
about a year and a half project. It's in my budget under planning and community development.
Right.
Am I right that this is supposed to be updated every 5 years?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yep. It would have been done in 2020
Right.
had it not been for COVID. And it's just taken us this long to get funding put in place last year,
Right.
and then, and also find a way to procure it, and all of that. So, yeah.
Things change, it needs to be addressed. Sometimes, in 5 years, you might say, well, we'll keep it like it is and approve it for 5 more years, but like broadband wasn't around years ago, did anybody know what it was?
Yeah.
So
And,
we have to update every now and then.
and I didn't print this for the night. I can certainly send this electronic. We were real impressed. We've got a sample of the Berkeley project, and the town was very happy with what they did. I know professionally, I know some of those folks, but it's high in graphics. We didn't have that, and I'm not taking anything away from, it's just the way a comp plan looks and it's done now. Lots of tables, your demographic data is in graphs and charts and all of that. So, like I said, we were real impressed with the way they put it together. They've helped a lot of counties around us. And another thing that we did like about that, Berkeley has been on the forefront in Southern Virginia on solar, on helping localities write ordinances, on best management practices, on looking at applications. And that's a big, I know that's was a big topic at the last planning commission and more so at the board. And we think they know what our development is here and that Prince Edward has development pressure from Lynchburg, Richmond, and Charlottesville. It's all coming together. So I think we really do need a good consultant, and we feel like that they are the ones that get it done for us. But yeah, you're right. We would be there. We would have already done this if it hadn't have been for COVID. But I think the timing is right now, because we've actually had some broadband development and some solar development. So we've got a background now of how those things will be affecting us, and we'll have some projects completed. You have any other questions on? Yep.
I've got a question. If Berkeley does get it, do they, for the planning commission, do they give us suggestions?
Yes.
What should be into it?
Yes.
And then we decide and what is
Well,
to be put in and what's not?
Yes.
And go on to the
Yes.
board of supervisors, okay?
It all starts too, though, with the, we're gonna be doing, when we pushing those out through the county website and Facebook and all that, we'll be doing public surveys. I've done one before where you ask, what do you like about your community? What do you don't like? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? There are gonna be more questions than that, but we'll be doing a lot of public surveys, and then we'll be having a public input workshops. We talked with them about having one closer to town and then one somewhere out in the county on the front end, and then maybe moving another one around, but, having them maybe at a fire department or something, or community center where, folks can come and see the maps and see different things and give input before we get into the, but when you get to the drafting and mapping, comments and revisions, we'll have open houses. So we'll have a couple of those. So we've got a couple of three, there's multiple public workshops, and there'll be multiple open houses. So the public will be able to be engaged in this process, and our community partners are going to be many people. It's going to be, you got your Chamber of Commerce's, you've got your schools, you've got your colleges, Hampton-Sydney, other public entities. Will be reaching out and having input from a lot of agencies on the front end on this thing. But the idea is we want to not edit what we had, but start with a blank sheet of paper and let the community decide what this thing needs to be and what we can look at development patterns based on building permits, zoning permits, construction in the last, well, now we have more than 5 years to look at actually. So the good thing about having a little more time, we've had more time in between, we've got more of a baseline to see how things have progressed, what areas of the county have grown up. We can look at history on building permits and where they've occurred and where development's occurring. So I think we'll have a good baseline of data for the consultants to map out those things, existing conditions and future land uses.
Robbie, I know, and this is great, that you, Doug, and Sarah kind of vetted the Berkeley group. Was there any other proposals submitted?
We didn't get a proposal. We talked to.
Okay, you solicited, okay.
We talked to. We looked at Summit Engineering also, who had done Town of Smithfield, Town of Front Royal, Town of Cape Charles. Those were the two bigger firms that could do a comp plan for a count of a locality our size. I mean, Prince Edward is rural, but we've got urban with the town. I mean, the town is not. It's still a part of this as a region. Their development and what the build out from the town affects the county in all directions. We felt they were the front runners, and quite frankly, we like what Berkeley could bring to the table.
So the next step is?
The next step would be to, if you're comfortable, make a recommendation, and we'll take it to the board, and
then we get in the weeds.
then we get in the week. Well, in October. It'll be a happy, early Halloween present.
Any more questions or comments?
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Under the animal, under the animal regulations, under the dog, on page 23, I don't know if it's significant or not.
Are you talking about the minutes?
No, this is in the minutes.
Oh, what are we at? What are we in?
On page
It's a
23,
draft.
section H, they got DOCS, their dogs. I don't know whether this is permitted in the system or what. On your copy, 23.
That's the minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Let me see that page. I didn't print myself a copy of those minutes.
So your question is, what does that refer to?
No, that refers to the dogs,
Oh,
but it's incorrectly, need to be corrected if this is permanent information.
Yeah, we can get that fixed.
Yeah, that's all.
I'll make that.
Oh, yeah, okay. 23, man, what do you say?
See?
Okay, I'll fix that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, or?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the planning commission recommend approval of the request to approve a contract with the Berkeley Group as outlined in the proposal dated March 9th.
Second.
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Mr. Gillum,
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Leatherwood,
Yes.
Mr. Page.
Yes.
I vote yes. Ms. Sandlin
Yes.
and Mr. Wyman.
yes.
Thank y'all.
So approved.
Thank y'all for that. I'll take that to the board with the SUP.
Is any other new business, Rob?
I don't.
Looks like our next meeting might be May 16th,
That's right.
and we'll probably have some business.
I'm anticipating we will.
Okay.
Things are pretty steady, and I'm getting a lot of calls. I haven't had anybody filing out, but we've got a couple more weeks before we know that we've got the deadlines out, so I'll let you know, but I think we probably will have a meeting.
Okay, look,
Just a little,
Hey, Rob, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard a rumor that Wawa was backing out because of all the stipulations we put on.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. They've actually filed their construction plans, and we're in the first review, and they're editing the stormwater and erosion and sediment control sheets right now.
All right, that's great.
It's absolutely moving forward. They finished design work on that site. We just had our consultant engineer looked at some of the stormwater stuff, and they've got some grading things we're going to need to look at and some outfalls. But yes, we're in site plan review right now, and stormwater review all at the same time. And they have an aggressive time frame, so they're working on second revisions on stormwater right now.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
any other business need? Yes, sir.
one thing that I wanted to chat about a little bit. You know, meeting the other night, we approved the shed building out at the old pet shop, West Prospect on 460. And the gentleman that's doing it spoke in the hours of operation and trucks coming in and out. And I got to thinking afterwards, do we, as a group here, Mr. Byler, that's got a wood processing facility over on Singleton Road, we regulated his hours and time of operation. Do we need to come up with a standard set of rules for all of them to go by from here on? What I'm worried about is, well, you let them do it, why can't I? And I'm not so sure we might ought to address that at one of our meetings
I'm trying to, staff, use the same template. If I find an operation that we've had in the past, I just used our new template and I used his hours that he requested, and I know that became, they actually did modify those and went back to a,
Yeah, we changed to 7-7.
but they went 6 to 6 Monday through Friday. And then they went, 8 to,
I've forgotten, but it was right long hours on Saturday.
it was 8 to 1 or 8 to 3 or 8 to 5, maybe 8 to 5.
8 to 5.
8 to 5. He had offered up delivery, a limited on delivery hours, like 8 to 5, but at least one board member thought that was gonna be hard. And it would be to enforce, if you had a truck that's coming, say he has a breakdown or flat tire, or he just flat running late, and he's there with a load, and he's there at 5:01, do they turn him away? And if they don't, how in the world would I mean, I'd almost have to I'd have to be there to see it.
Right.
And then it'd be like, it'd be a slap on the, it'd be a slap on the hand. So a couple of members of the board felt like your hours of operation for being open are your delivery hours. And that's when you can be open. You're supposed to be closed when you're closed. So they didn't, at the time, they didn't feel like separating delivery hours from open hours, shop hours would make a lot of difference, because you're still gonna be using a loader to back it out, which is gonna create the most noise with the beeps from the equipment. And that's what the loading happens.
Every business is gonna be different.
It is.
Sure, but my thoughts was, they're just about tit for tat, you might say. And the community may require us to do such as that.
Right.
In other words, what was it, 8 homes back behind it? I don't think they'll ever have any problem, but, if they happen to complain and then, well, you cut these guys back, limited hours, why are you letting these do extra hours? But I just thought that's something everybody could think about. It's gonna come back again, another facility or processing plant, I'm
Yep.
sure. And,
It might be a case-to-case thing, depending on where that business is gonna be or where it's located near, or, a bunch of homes, or it's kind of rural area or whatever.
What
So,
hours is Eli and them running on their, that tug? They start right early in the morning.
real early in the morning.
I know
And that's the reason
Eli's not there now, his son is running.
Yeah, and that's the reason I brought up the hours and, quiet hours.
Right.
Because that operation starts so early in the morning, and you do hear the loading, the trucks, and other noises, and I'm a quarter of a mile away or so. So, and I guess what he's saying is, we need to establish what is gonna be quiet hours, starting at what time at night and till what time in the morning. And then that we just can say in the future that all operations need to be anytime after quiet hours.
some of the discussion was it's cooler in the mornings in the summertime,
Yeah,
so they wanted to start early. But if they work until 6 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be hot in the middle of the day.
Yep. Well, like I said, I'll try to, if we have another facility, I'll try to make sure we talk about that. Like Wawa is a 24-hour operation, whereas Dollar General, for instance, using that, they're done at 10. So, yeah, but those heavy manufacturing, you could have your own idea, and I could start incorporating quiet hours shall be, and we can put that, I can start putting quiet hours on hours of operation.
certainly.
So we could,
That
maybe,
might be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Quiet hours will be from this time to this time.
we could do that, and you could have a standardized time on that.
Right.
And then if they want to operate within a window, they can quit earlier, or start later, or start earlier. But they can be in, I think that's something that would be, y'all decide that, and we'll just, let me know, and I'll just start putting quiet hours shall be. And we'll do that on times, on businesses that require timeframes.
I'm guilty.
Hey,
I'll be 11 o'clock at night at the shop.
look, I don't want to get her to bed and have to come over and get on you.
I did read something, we're getting a lot of solar panel farms in this area. I did read something in the Appomattox paper where I think it's DEQ is getting on, they've had 2 operations going on in Appomattox
Yeah.
that are not up to snuff on the storm drainage runoff and everything. That there's not enough sod or whatever cover on it. So that's something we might want to make sure that they, is that our responsibility or is that DEQ's responsibility?
On the small sites, the 5 megawatt and under sites, those sites have the option to come to us, and because we are the Virginia Stormwater Management Authority. On a large site, they're going to go straight to DEQ. There's a state law called, a state regulation for solar enabled in state code called permit by rule. And that's where they file directly with DEQ. DEQ does all the inspections, and we're hands off. We don't have and most solar companies are going to go that route on the large sites, like the one site you approved, county's approved, that's on the Hines property, the CEP Solar.
Yeah.
I feel certain that's going to be a permit by rule under the Code of Virginia. And we really don't have an option to pull that back because the code enables them to do that.
Okay.
On the smaller sites, we'll be able to manage those ourselves and send those notice of violations or stop work orders, whatever it might be. But again, that's if the small, we've got the smaller site, Prince Edward CSG Solar over on 45, Route 45, I think it is. It's at the 14,100, the alt property. Now Pamplin,
As a pamphlet, you know.
yeah,
47.
that they have applied to us. They've applied. They wanted to apply to us. That's the 5 megawatt site, 18 acres of panels roughly. So we'll be inspecting that. So we'll be able to stay on top of the smaller sites.
The one at Pamplin, or the Pamplin Solar in Appomattox County,
That's a big one.
they just went in there and bulldozed everything down the hill and some of red dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still I noticed that
I
last
don't know if they've ever put any seed or anything on that.
Yeah.
What was, they fined them, didn't it? Was that the one that got?
Yeah, it's $100,000. Yeah.
But if it rains hard, it's going right down to the bottom of the hill.
But we'll have a bond set, but so you all know right now, the way we do our plan review is done by Mr. Andy Klepak with Hurt and Profit, and he's a licensed engineer. And he does a heck of a job. I don't have an engineer's license, and if I had an engineer's license, I'd probably still want him to do it. But he does, we look at the ENS side of things, but he looks really deep on their calculations, and then we inspect on the sites that we got for stormwater and ENS, the small commercial, like the Dollar Generals. And we can stay on top of it. Myself and Trey Powell will go out either together or sometimes if he's out on, already out, he'll run by and check on the site. But like the Rice Convenience site that's going on, we're doing the inspections on that local. So the main thing there is when you turn up raw dirt, you're supposed to have it stabilized in 7 days. And that can be with, seed and straw, but it should be straw so when the rain hits, it doesn't pop the dirt up. That's how when erosion hits, when that raindrop hits the ground and causes that dirt to move, and then it starts sliding around and you get your sheet flow off of it and get into streams and tributaries and everything. But yeah, we actively do inspect all the sites. We'll be doing the Wawa site, the Dollar General. We're doing the Hampton Sydney, the Venable Hall renovation. It's not much dirt there, but we go out there. But the solar sites, yes, most of the big solar sites are going to go under state law and go straight to DEQ. That's just the way they operate.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Anything else for the good of the order? Yes, sir, Mr. Leatherwood.
I've had a couple of people ask me recently about what the status is on the meat processing.
Oh, Well, that's moving forward. They have, we have approved the stormwater and ENS and architectural plans. They got the final revisions back to us last week, so they are approved, and I anticipate he'll probably be bidding that building out and going through that process. So we're ready to move for them to be getting a building permit. They don't have one yet, but they've been going through design. Design takes a number of months to go through, and that site had that site, because it's being purchased from the IDA, we have to have a subdivision plat. We've got to build. They've got to have that road driveway put in. VDOT had to look at all that, so it's taken a little bit of time. There we found under the existing road there was a concrete pipe existing there, so they had to go back in and survey that. When VDOT went out to look at the entrance, one of the VDOT guys almost stepped in the hole and almost cut his leg up. But, so that was pre-existing condition. There was also a drainage way kind of runs over on the, I guess, the east side of that property. So there was a couple things to deal with on stormwater design there, but it's moving forward. I can't tell you when they're going to pull the permit, but we finally last week just got all the design plans for the architectural and the stormwater and the road all done. And the survey has been done, and right now it's being looked at by the county attorney, staff, and it'll go to the IDA for their blessing to have that parcel cut off.
Yeah, I think the two or three people that asked me about it, I think they were concerned that it won't come.
Oh, no, he's got an APHID grant, he's got a grant on that project, and the IDA is selling him that piece of property. He's just going through all that land transfer and survey and all of that.
That's
Good
great.
deal.
That's great.
But you'll absolutely see it. It's gonna be a nice building. They put a stone waterfall in the front, about halfway up. They have stone all the way across the front of it. It's gonna be a really nice building, fancier than the original drawings that y'all saw. So, I think it's gonna be something the county can be proud of.
Great, great.
And where's the location again?
Down behind the Farm Service Center, it'll be the first thing in the county IDA park on the left side on Dominion.
On Dominion, okay.
Yeah, you turn by the water tank and go
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
And it'll be
Right.
right, but you go past it before you get to VDOT, before you get Triborough.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other comments or anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, I adjourn the meeting.
Good night, thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have all those projects under construction because Dollar General's got their plans. We've approved all.